Avocados are the poster child for post-harvest spoilage in your home, right? The joke being, avocado, not now, not now, not now, now, too late. And then with our product, we can make that joke something more like, not now, 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 too late. Taking material from inside the produce that you're eating anyways and applying it to the surface of the produce. And by doing that in a very precise way, we're able to balance the rate that, again, water and CO2 escape relative to the rate oxygen gets in. And the result is a little microclimate that keeps the fruit happy and healthy. If you did the math, we're producing more than enough calories to feed everyone on the planet. The problem came down to distribution. We couldn't get the food that was being grown to where the people needed to eat it. If you're a small farmer in a remote region of Kenya, for example, and you're growing a mango and that mango can't last long enough to be transported to the city center where all the demand is for that mango, there's not an opportunity to earn any economic value from that produce. And so by using this formulation, we can now extend the shelf life of that produce so that it's able to ultimately reach the city center. And so that smallholder farmer is able to capture more of the economic value associated with the production of that mango. That value proposition is the same whether you're a smallholder farmer or whether you're a large commercial grower who may now, instead of going from a remote region into a city center, is now going from Peru into China, where you maybe couldn't have gone before. I'll never forget, got an email from a gentleman out of New Zealand who was growing boysenberries, and he said, I can't wait to have access to this technology. And it's only technologies like this that help growers like me combat the tyranny of time. That kind of gave me the confidence to continue moving forward, and one thing led to another. It's grown tremendously since then.
Welcome back to Seed Time and Harvest. Today we're going to get some plants in our garden to get ready for fall gardening. This cucumber did us a number this year. We had a lot of cucumbers. It was a blessing having this plant, but unfortunately now it's time for it to go. I'm going to take it off and try to do so without much of anything falling on the garden bed, because we do have some worms in the cucumbers. We're gonna get ready to do that, and I'm gonna just put it to the side. This is not gonna go in my compost pile, it's gonna go in the burn pile. So you just separate however much of it you can. The main stems, we're gonna have to go and remove the ones that are actually looped around the wire. I'm gonna just cut off different spots. You can use your loopers, or you can use a pruning shear. Whatever gardening tool you have available. I have the mini looper, so I'm gonna use that. And just chop it up, section it up. It's fighting, it has a lot of new growth. Unfortunately, with the worms on it, I really don't wanna keep it any longer in the garden. Just like that, our cucumber plant is gone. I was trying to remove the cucumbers with as little as possible of anything falling inside the garden bed. Unfortunately, we did have some stuff falling, so we have an inchworm right here. We have another one over here, and then we have another one. I'm gonna go ahead and remove them, and eventually I'm gonna have to spray the garden so that if there are others that I can't see, they don't eat up the new greens that we're putting in. They're so pretty. They have to eat too, but just don't want them to eat our plants. As you're examining your plants, you just really have to be very careful because a lot of the insects that eat our plants, they're very good at camouflage. I'm going to show you what to look for in some cases, especially on your green plants. These right here are droppings of caterpillars, inchworm, and I was able to spot a few on this plant. As you can see, there's one in my lap right here. A nice big fat inchworm is right there. And as I'm examining the plants closer, I found another baby inchworm. I don't know if you can see it, but I hope you can. And the baby's right here, and I found out where the eggs came from, that all these baby hatched, and you can see them all right there. So it's very good as you're going through your plants, examine them. If you see different holes on your leaves, don't just, hey, okay, I'm gonna remove that leaf with the hole, but look around to see what you can find, because just a few days of leaving that plant with those babies on there will do a really good number on your plant. And this is a day-by-day work. All these starter plants are right beside each other. So if you check one, check all of them, because you never know. These insects do move. They don't stay in the same place. And I was able to find another one in this pot. Let's talk about this bed a little bit before we get the plants in. A couple weeks ago, I was harvesting some seeds from a carrot, and the plant actually did give a lot of seeds, and I guess I didn't harvest them correctly because I can see a lot of carrots coming up in the garden. I really didn't want them to be in this spot, but I can't move them. Carrots don't do well with transplanting. This is where we had the carrots last season. I wanted to put them in a different spot, but since they're already coming up, I'm gonna leave this part of the bed exclusively for carrots. I may sow a few beets in there, but you can see the seeds fell wherever they wanted, and they are all coming up. So praise God for that. Sometimes you think you do such a good job at cleaning out, and a few weeks later you realize, okay, Lord, you saved me planting carrots this year. So these are gonna stay right there, just gonna feed it. Those are gonna do good. So coming down the bed, I'll show you what we're gonna do. So this garden is not the biggest garden we've had, and we have even less space because of the carrots that are coming up and the peppers that we're gonna allow to remain in the garden. And right now we have celery to plant, kale, collards, and let's see, these are, what do you call these? Cauliflower. We have all these to put in, and I want to put some more items in. So we're gonna see how best we can arrange this garden to fit some of these plants. We are gonna put the celery over this side. We have enough celery for about 6 weeks that we can get 2 heads a week. We are gonna put the collards on that side, cauliflower behind me, more collards over there, and the kale on this side. Actually, those are broccoli. We're gonna set it up like this and see how best we can work with the space we have. And God willing, we'll be able to expand to the next side of our garden once those crops have been harvested. And they're ready to go in the ground. You can see how well the roots are being developed. I'm just gonna lay them out. Easier for me to do it that way, and then I'll just get them planted. Celery needs a lot of water, so that's something to consider when you're planting your celery. Carrots also need a lot of water. Make sure you plant them together with crops that do like water. And you can put your celery close because they'll support each other as they grow, but not too close. Here we're gonna put collards, and these are gonna be about 6 to 8 inches apart. This is the last of the collards that we're gonna put in. Next, we're gonna move to the broccoli. Yep, these are broccoli. Not as much spacing as collards. Your spacing is important when you're planting, but there's few crops that do well at supporting each other. Broccoli is one of those, so I'm not gonna plant them too far apart. All right, so again, you just need to put them as deep as the original plant is, not too deep, because you don't want the stem to rot, especially with your greens. And I didn't have to really worry about watering because it rained last night. It's always nice when you have worms in your garden. You know there is life in your soil. I'm always excited when I see worms. And then when I fertilize my plants, you can put the fertilizer in the hole, or you can just put it on top around the plants and just use a fork and work it in. I don't want to put it directly on the roots of the plants, but it's up to you which way you want to fertilize. And this is just a little garden fork that I'm using. It's very good for small space gardening. And I'm using the all-purpose plant food. Try not to go above 4.4 because then you may have some synthetic material in it. Next, I'm gonna do the cauliflower in this patch over here. And then finally, I'm gonna put out the kale. Transplanting is very simple. Just be careful with your roots. Consider your spacing. And then you'll feed and water if necessary. It's gonna rain today, so I'm not really concerned about watering. It's gonna be a very cool day, so it's ideal for transplanting. You don't wanna transplant when it's too hot because then your plants will get stressed. This is the last thing we're gonna put in, some kale. So say for instance, you wanted to put your fertilizer in your hole before you plant. You wanna make a bigger hole, put a little bit of your fertilizer in and mix it up. And then you put your plant in. So your plant is not in direct contact with the fertilizer, because some fertilizers are harsh and they will burn the roots of the plant. So again, you'd make a bigger hole than intended for the plant, put your fertilizer in, mix it around, and then you put your plants in. That way your plants don't get burnt. It's not directly on the root ball. Just to show you again, if you want to fertilize, put the fertilizer in the hole, just make a bigger hole than intended for your roots. Just put this fertilizer in, mix it around. Eventually the roots will get to it because they're not going to stay in the same spot. They're going to get bigger. And then you add your plants to that hole. And looks like all the plants we had were just enough for this space. Some things could be closer together, but and more worms. Some things could be closer together, but it's just going to be sufficient. We have another, ooh, this one is big. Look at that. Okay, sorry. We have another gardening area on the next side that later on we will put some more plants once we finish harvesting our peppers. And we have cucumbers, watermelon on that side, and our pots. But for now, we're gonna get these plants, give them a head start before the winter comes. We are in September. It's a very good time to start your fall garden. It's not as hot. The weather is cooling down. It's the ideal time to be outside. And the weather is just really conducive to fall gardening. So I want to encourage you. If you don't want to start seeds, go ahead and get some starter plants. If you have seeds, you can get your seeds into your garden to get ready for the most beautiful time for gardening, which is the fall. Your greens are sweeter. It's just a better time to be outside. So again, I want to encourage you, get your gloves, get your shovel, your seeds, your plants, and get your garden started. Thank you for joining us on Seed Time and Harvest. Until next time, happy planting. Don't forget to like, to share the video, subscribe, and leave your comment below if you have any. Take care.